Captain Jake Morrison stood on the bridge of the USS Harmony, watching the stars through the main screen. They had traveled for 6 months to reach this place. The Kepler 442 system looked peaceful from the outside, but Jake knew something important waited for them here. "Captain, we are getting close to the 4th planet," said Lisa Park from her station. She was the communications officer, a young woman with bright eyes and steady hands. "The readings are incredible. There are structures everywhere around that world." Jake nodded and walked closer to the screen. He could see them now, huge metal shapes floating in space around a blue-green planet. They were not natural. Someone had built them. Someone with technology far beyond what humans had ever seen. "Dr. Turner, what do you think?" Jake asked the ship's xenobiologist. Alex Turner was a tall man with gray hair who had studied alien life for 20 years. He had never seen anything like this before. "These structures are massive, Captain. They must be miles long. And look at how they move together, like they are connected somehow," Alex said, pointing at the screen. "This is definitely the work of an advanced civilization." Maria Santos, the ship's engineer, was checking her instruments. She was a small woman with dark hair who could fix anything on the ship. "Captain, I am reading energy signatures unlike anything in our databases. These aliens have power sources we do not understand." Jake felt excited and nervous at the same time. This was why they had come so far from Earth. Humanity had been searching for other intelligent life for centuries. Now they had found it? "Lisa, prepare the standard first contact protocol," Jake ordered. "Send the mathematical sequences first, then the basic language patterns. Keep the power low. We do not want to seem threatening." Lisa's fingers danced across her control panel. "Ready, Captain? Beginning transmission now." The bridge fell silent as they waited. Everyone knew this moment would change everything. If the aliens were friendly, it could mean a new age for humanity. If they were hostile, the USS Harmony might not make it home. For several minutes, nothing happened. Then the sensors began to flash red warnings. "Captain, the alien structures are moving," Maria said, her voice tight with worry. "They are moving fast, and they are heading straight for us." Jake watched as dozens of the alien ships broke away from their positions around the planet. They moved with perfect coordination, like a school of fish turning as one. But there was something wrong with their movement. They seemed to be shaking, vibrating in space. "Are they attacking?" Jake asked. "I do not think so," Alex said, studying the readings. "Look at their formation. They are not moving like hunters. They are moving like they are in pain." Suddenly, the ship's sensors picked up something new. The aliens were making sounds, broadcasting them into space. But these were not communication signals. They were screams. "Captain, you need to hear this," Lisa said, her face pale. She played the alien sounds through the bridge speakers. The noise was terrible, like thousands of voices crying out in agony. It made everyone on the bridge feel sick. "Turn it off," Jake said quickly. "What did we do to them?" The alien ships were getting closer now, and their movements were becoming more violent. They spun and twisted in space like they were trying to escape from something. Some of them crashed into each other, and Jake could see explosions in the distance. "Captain, we need to stop the transmission," Alex said urgently. "Whatever we sent them, it is hurting them badly." "Lisa, cut all communications immediately," Jake ordered. "Already done, Captain," Lisa replied. "But they are still suffering." The alien ships continued their chaotic dance for several more minutes. Then slowly they began to calm down. The screaming sounds faded away, and the ships stopped their violent movements. But now they were arranging themselves in a new formation, one that pointed directly at the USS Harmony. "They are targeting us," Maria said, reading her instruments. "Energy levels are rising. I think they are charging weapons." Jake had to make a decision quickly. The USS Harmony was a science ship, not a warship. They had some defensive systems, but nothing that could fight dozens of advanced alien vessels. "All hands, prepare for emergency jump," Jake announced to the ship. "We are leaving the system immediately." The crew worked with practiced efficiency. The ship's engines powered up and space began to bend around them. Just as the alien ships fired their weapons, the USS Harmony disappeared in a flash of light. They reappeared at the edge of the solar system, safe but confused. The bridge crew looked at each other, trying to understand what had gone wrong. "What just happened?" Jake asked. "We followed the first contact protocols perfectly. We sent mathematical sequences and basic language patterns. These are supposed to be universal." Alex was reviewing the sensor data from their encounter. "Captain, I am seeing something strange in these readings. The alien ships were not separate vessels. They were moving as one unit, like parts of a single organism." "What do you mean?" Lisa asked. "I mean, they might not be individual beings like us. They might be connected somehow, sharing thoughts and feelings. When we sent our signals, we might have disrupted that connection." Maria was studying the technical data. "The energy patterns support that theory? These aliens seem to operate on a bioelectrical network. Our radio signals could have interfered with their natural communication system." Jake sat down in his captain's chair, feeling the weight of the situation. "So we accidentally hurt them by trying to talk to them. And now they think we are enemies." "It appears so, Captain," Alex said sadly. "But there has to be a way to communicate with them safely. We just need to figure out how." The ship drifted in space at the edge of the alien system. Jake could see the alien structures in the distance, still glowing with their unknown energy. Somewhere out there was an entire civilization that humanity had just accidentally attacked. "Lisa, can you monitor their communications without transmitting anything ourselves?" Jake asked. "Yes, Captain. I can set up passive sensors to listen to their signals without sending anything back." "Do it. We need to understand how they communicate before we try to contact them again." The crew worked through the night shift, analyzing the alien signals. They discovered that the aliens use complex bioelectrical patterns to share information. It was like they had one giant brain spread across thousands of individual bodies. "This is incredible," Alex said, reviewing the data. "They have achieved something humans have only dreamed of, a true collective consciousness. But that also makes them vulnerable to outside interference." Jake stood at the window, looking out at the stars. "We came here to make friends, and instead we caused them pain. There has to be a way to fix this." "Captain, I am detecting something interesting," Lisa said from her station. "The aliens are still broadcasting, but their patterns have changed. They are not screaming anymore. It sounds almost like they are trying to organize themselves." "Play it," Jake said. The bridge filled with a new kind of sound. It was still alien, but it had a rhythm to it, a pattern that seemed almost musical. The crew listened in fascination as the aliens worked to rebuild their damaged communication network. "They are healing," Alex said with wonder. "They are putting their collective mind back together." Jake made a decision that would change everything. "We are going to find a way to talk to them without hurting them, no matter how long it takes." The USS Harmony continued to drift at the edge of the system, waiting and listening. The crew did not know it yet, but the answer to their problem was already on their ship, waiting to be discovered in the most unexpected place. The USS Harmony drifted quietly in the asteroid field at the edge of the Kepler 442 system. Captain Jake Morrison had ordered the ship to hide here 3 days ago, after their disastrous first contact with the aliens. The crew worked around the clock, trying to understand what had gone wrong. "Captain, the alien ships are still patrolling the inner system," Lisa Park reported from her communications station. "They move in perfect formation, like they are searching for us." Jake nodded. Watching the sensor display, the alien vessels moved like a single organism, turning and shifting together. It was both beautiful and frightening to watch. "Any change in their bioelectrical patterns?" "No, sir. They are still broadcasting the same organized signals. Much calmer than when we first contacted them, but they are definitely looking for threats." Dr. Alex Turner looked up from his research station. His eyes were red from lack of sleep, but he had made important discoveries. "Captain, I have been studying their communication patterns. These aliens do not think like us at all. They share every thought and feeling across their entire species. What does that mean for us? Jake asked. It means when we sent our radio signals, we did not just hurt one alien. We heard all of them at the same time. Imagine if someone played loud noise directly into your brain, but you could not turn it off or escape from it. Maria Santos was working on her engineering console, trying to understand the alien technology. The energy readings suggest they have millions of individuals connected in their network. When we disrupted their communication, it was like causing a seizure in a brain with millions of parts. Jake felt sick thinking about it. So we tortured an entire civilization by accident. Yes, Captain, but we did not know. Our standard first contact protocols work fine with species like us, who think as individuals. But these aliens are something completely new. The bridge fell silent as everyone thought about the situation. They had come so far to make peaceful contact with another intelligent species. Instead, they had caused terrible pain and made enemies. Captain, Lisa said suddenly, I am getting new readings. The alien patrol ships are moving closer to our position. I think they might have detected us. Jake looked at the sensor display. 6 alien ships were moving toward the asteroid field in a tight formation. They were still several hours away, but they were definitely heading in the right direction. Can we move deeper into the asteroid field without them seeing us? Jake asked Maria. Maybe, but it will be dangerous. These asteroids are moving fast, and some of them are huge. One collision could destroy the ship. We do not have much choice. Take us deeper, but move slowly and carefully. The USS Harmony began to drift deeper into the asteroid field. The crew watched nervously as massive rocks floated past the ship. Some of them were as big as mountains. The ship's engines were almost completely shut down to avoid detection. Captain, we are as hidden as we can get, Maria reported. But if those alien ships come much closer, they will find us. Jake was about to respond when a new sound filled the bridge. It was music, soft and beautiful, coming from the ship's internal speakers. Everyone turned to look at Tony Rodriguez, a young engineer who was eating his lunch at a side station. Sorry, Captain, Tony said, reaching for his personal music player. I forgot I left this on. Wait, Jake said, holding up his hand. Do not turn it off yet. What is that music? It? Is Bach, sir? Johann Sebastian Bach, classical music from Earth. I like to listen to it while I work. The music continued to play, a gentle piano piece that filled the bridge with peaceful sounds. It was one of Bach's inventions, simple but perfectly structured. The crew had heard it many times before, but now it seemed different somehow. Captain, Lisa said, her voice excited, look at the sensor display. Jake looked at the screen and could not believe what he was seeing. The alien ships had stopped their advance toward the asteroid field. Instead, they were moving in slow, graceful patterns that seemed to match the rhythm of the music. That is impossible, Alex said, moving to Lisa's station. Are you sure the sensors are working correctly? Yes, sir. The alien ships are definitely responding to the music. Watch what happens when the tempo changes. As the batch piece moved into a faster section, the alien ships began to move more quickly. Their formation became more complex, with ships weaving in and out of each other in perfect synchronization. When the music slowed down again, so did their movements. Turn off the music, Jake ordered. Tony stopped the music player, and the bridge fell silent. On the sensor display, the alien ships immediately stopped their graceful movements and resumed their original patrol pattern, heading toward the asteroid field. Turn it back on, Jake said quickly. The music resumed, and once again the alien ships began their synchronized dance. This time the crew watched more carefully, noting how the aliens responded to every change in the music. This is incredible, Alex said, studying the readings. The music is not hurting them like our radio signals did. Instead, it seems to be organizing their thoughts in a way they can understand. But how is that possible? Maria asked. Music. It's just sound waves. How can it affect an alien hive mind? Alex was already working on his computer, running calculations. Music has mathematical patterns, rhythms, and structures. Maybe these aliens communicate using similar patterns. Our radio signals were chaotic to them, but music has order. Lisa was monitoring the alien bioelectrical signals. Captain, their communication patterns are changing. They are becoming more organized, more peaceful. It is like the music is helping them think more clearly. Jake felt a spark of hope for the first time since the disaster. Tony, what other music do you have on that player? Lots of different types, Captain. Classical, jazz, rock, electronic, folk music from different countries. I have a huge collection. Try something else. Let us see how they respond to different types of music. Tony switched to a jazz piece, something with a walking bass line and smooth saxophone. The alien ships immediately changed their formation, moving in a more relaxed, flowing pattern. The rigid military formation became something more artistic and free. "I like jazz," Tony said with a grin. Next, he played a piece of electronic music with a steady beat and synthesized sounds. The alien ships formed geometric patterns, moving with precise timing that matched the electronic rhythms perfectly. Try some rock music, Jake suggested. Tony played a classic rock song with a driving guitar rhythm and strong drums. The alien ships became more energetic, their movements faster and more dynamic. They seemed to be enjoying the powerful beat. "This is amazing," Lisa said, watching the display. "They are not just responding to the music, they are dancing to it." Dr. Turner was working frantically at his station, trying to understand what was happening. "Captain, I think I know what is going on. These aliens use bioelectrical pulses to communicate. Those pulses naturally follow rhythmic patterns, just like music does." "You mean they think in rhythm?" Jake asked. "Exactly. When we sent them random radio signals, it was like playing noise into a musical mind. But actual music provides a framework they can understand and work with." Maria was studying the technical aspects. The music is giving their hive mind a structure to organize around. Instead of chaos, they have rhythm and melody to guide their thoughts. Jake looked at his crew with growing excitement. "So music might be the key to communicating with them safely?" "It is possible, Captain," Alex said. "If we can find the right way to use music as a communication tool, we might be able to talk to them without causing pain." Tony had been listening to the conversation with growing interest. "Captain, I have thousands of songs from Earth, music from every culture and time period. If music is their language, then we have a huge vocabulary to work with." "Lisa, can you modify our communication system to broadcast music instead of radio signals?" Jake asked. "I think so, Captain." "It will take some work, but I can route Tony's music player through our main transmitter. We can control the volume and frequency to make sure we do not hurt them." Jake made a decision that would change everything. "Do it. We are going to try to communicate with them using music." The crew worked through the night, modifying the ship's systems and preparing for their second attempt at first contact. This time, instead of mathematical sequences and language patterns, they would speak in the universal language of rhythm and melody. As they worked, the alien ships continued their graceful dance in the distance, responding to the music that drifted from the USS Harmony. For the first time since arriving in the system, the crew felt hope that they might succeed in their mission. "Captain," Lisa said as she finished the modifications, "the system is ready. We can broadcast music to them whenever you give the order." Jake looked at his crew, seeing determination in their faces. "Tomorrow we try again. But this time we let the music do the talking." Captain Jake Morrison stood on the bridge of the USS Harmony, watching the alien ships patrol in the distance. It had been 12 hours since they discovered that music could calm the aliens. Now it was time to take the biggest risk of his career. "Lisa, are all systems ready?" Jake asked his communications officer. "Yes, Captain. I have connected Tony's music collection to our main transmitter. We can broadcast any song at different power levels. The system is designed to start very quietly and increase slowly." "Doctor." Alex Turner looked up from his station where he had been studying the alien bioelectrical patterns all night. "Captain, I recommend we start with classical music. It has the most organized structure, and the aliens seem to respond well to batch yesterday." Tony Rodriguez was at his engineering station, ready to select the music. I have prepared a special playlist, Captain. It starts with simple piano pieces and gradually moves to more complex orchestral works. Each piece builds on the last one. Maria Santos checked her instruments one more time. Captain, the ship's defensive systems are ready. If something goes wrong, we can stop the transmission and jump away immediately. Jake nodded, feeling the weight of the decision. Remember, we are not just representing ourselves. We are representing all of humanity. If we succeed, this could be the beginning of a new age. If we fail, we might have made enemies of an entire civilization. We understand, Captain, Lisa said. We will be very careful. Begin the transmission, Jake ordered. Start with the lowest possible power. Tony selected the first piece, a simple batch invention for piano. The music began to play softly through the ship's speakers, and simultaneously it was broadcast into space toward the alien fleet. The crew watched the sensors carefully. At first, nothing happened. The alien ships continued their patrol patterns as if nothing had changed. Then slowly, their movements began to shift. Captain, they are responding, Lisa reported. Their bioelectrical patterns are becoming more organized. The music is definitely affecting them. The alien ships began to move in gentle curves instead of straight lines. Their formation became more fluid, more graceful. It was as if they were swimming through space instead of flying. Increase the power slightly, Jake said. Let them hear it more clearly. The music became louder, and the alien response became stronger. More ships joined the graceful dance, moving in perfect synchronization with the piano melody. There was no sign of the pain or chaos from their first contact attempt. Tony, try the next piece, Jake ordered. The music changed to a batch chorale with multiple voices weaving together in harmony. The alien ships responded by splitting into smaller groups, each group moving in a different pattern but all working together like parts of a symphony. This is incredible, Alex said, watching the display. They are not just listening to the music. They are becoming part of it. Captain, Lisa said with excitement, I am detecting something new. The aliens are broadcasting their own signals, but these are different from before. They are not random bioelectrical patterns. They have rhythm and structure. Play there. Signals through the speakers, Jake ordered, the bridge filled with an otherworldly sound. It was unlike anything the crew had ever heard before. The alien signals had been translated into audio, and they sounded like music, but music from a completely different world. It was hauntingly beautiful, with tones and harmonies that human ears had never experienced. They are singing back too? U.S., Tony said with wonder. They are making music with their minds. The human music and alien music began to blend together, creating something entirely new. The batch chorale provided a foundation, while the alien bioelectrical patterns added layers of complexity that no human composer had ever imagined. Captain, their entire fleet is responding now, Maria reported. I am reading thousands of ships, all moving in coordinated patterns. It is like they are one massive orchestra. Jake felt a chill of excitement. Tony, try something more complex. Let us see how far we can take this. The music changed to a full orchestral piece, Beethoven's Ninth Symphony. The alien response was immediate and dramatic. Their fleet reorganized into a massive formation that stretched across thousands of miles of space. Groups of ships moved, like different sections of an orchestra, some providing rhythm, others melody, and still others harmony. They understand the structure of the music, Alex said, studying the patterns. They can tell the difference between the strings, the brass, the woodwinds. Each section of their fleet is responding to a different part of the orchestra. But how is that possible? Maria asked. They have never heard human music before. Music is mathematics, Alex explained. Rhythm, harmony, melody, these are all mathematical relationships. If these aliens communicate using bioelectrical patterns, they might naturally understand the mathematical structure of music. Lisa was monitoring the alien communications. Captain, their signals are becoming more complex. It is like they are learning our musical language in real time. Jake made a bold decision. Tony, try something completely different. Play some jazz. The music changed to a Miles Davis piece with improvisation and complex rhythms. The alien response was fascinating. Their rigid formations broke apart and individual ships began to move in seemingly random patterns. But the patterns were not random at all. They were improvising, just like jazz musicians. They are creating their own variations on the theme, Tony said with amazement. They understand improvisation. The human ship and the alien fleet continued their musical conversation for hours. Tony played blues and the alien ships moved with slow, soulful patterns. He played electronic music, and they created geometric formations that pulsed with the synthesized beats. He played folk music from different Earth cultures, and the aliens responded with their own versions of traditional patterns. "Captain," Lisa said, "I think they are trying to tell us something. Their bioelectrical patterns are becoming more organized, more purposeful. It is like they are building up to something important." The alien music grew more complex, more urgent. Their ships began to form a new pattern, one that the crew had never seen before. It was centered around the USS Harmony, with alien vessels arranged in concentric circles around the human ship. "Are they surrounding us?" Maria asked nervously. "No," Alex said, studying the formation. "This is not a threatening pattern. It is ceremonial, like they are welcoming us." The alien music reached a crescendo, and suddenly new signals appeared on the sensors. These were not bioelectrical patterns. They were mathematical sequences, the same kind that humans had tried to send during first contact. "They are trying to communicate with us using our own methods," Lisa said with excitement. "But they are using music as a foundation to make it safe." The mathematical sequences were embedded in musical patterns, making them harmless to the alien hive mind. The aliens were showing the humans how to communicate safely with them. "Captain," Alex said, "I think we have just made the greatest discovery in human history. These aliens do not just understand music. They can use it as a universal translation system." Jake felt overwhelmed by the implications. "Tony, do you have any music that tells a story? Something that might help us explain who we are and why we are here?" Tony thought for a moment. "I have some program music, pieces that were written to tell specific stories. And I have some pieces with vocals that might help them understand human voices." "Try it," Jake said. "Let us see if we can tell them about humanity." Tony played a piece called The Moldau by Smetana, which musically describes a river flowing through the Czech countryside. The alien response was immediate. Their formations began to flow like water, showing that they understood the musical narrative. Next, he played a piece with human vocals, a choir singing in harmony. The alien ships responded by creating patterns that seemed to represent individual voices joining together, just like the human choir. "They understand that we are individuals who can work together," Alex said. "They are learning about human nature through our music." The musical conversation continued through the night. The aliens showed the humans patterns that seemed to represent their own history, their collective consciousness, their journey through the stars. The humans responded with music that told the story of Earth, of humanity's struggle to understand the universe, of their hope to find friends among the stars. As the first day of musical communication ended, both species had learned something important. Music was more than just sound. It was a way for completely different forms of consciousness to understand each other. The aliens had found beings who could speak their language of rhythm and harmony, and the humans had found a civilization that could appreciate the beauty they created. "Captain," Lisa said as the alien fleet settled into a peaceful formation around the USS Harmony, "I think we have just become the first humans to make friends with an alien species." Jake smiled, watching the alien ships glow softly in the darkness of space, "and we did it with music. I think Mozart would be proud." 3 weeks had passed since the first successful musical contact with the alien fleet. The USS Harmony now floated peacefully in the center of a vast formation of alien ships. What had started as a simple communication attempt had grown into something much more beautiful and complex. Captain Jake Morrison stood in the ship's new music laboratory, a room that had been converted from a storage bay. The walls were covered with speakers, musical instruments, and strange new devices that combined human technology with alien bioelectrical systems. "Captain, the morning concert is about to begin," Tony Rodriguez said from his position at a complex control panel. Over the past weeks, Tony had become the ship's first musical ambassador, learning to speak with the aliens through rhythm and melody. "How many ships are participating today?" Jake asked. "Nearly 5,000, Tony replied with a smile. The aliens call this formation a harmony cluster. Each ship represents a different voice in their collective consciousness, and together they create music that spans hundreds of miles of space. Dr. Alex Turner looked up from a new device he was studying. It was a gift from the aliens, a bioelectrical instrument that could translate human brain patterns into musical signals. "Jake, you need to see this. The aliens have been teaching us about their history through music, and what I am learning is incredible." Alex activated the device, and the room filled with alien music that told a story. The sounds were complex and layered, but after weeks of practice, the human crew had learned to understand the basic meaning. "This piece is about their origin," Alex explained. "Millions of years ago, they were individual beings like us, but they discovered that by linking their minds together, they could create something greater than the sum of their parts. They chose to become a collective consciousness. The music shifted, becoming more complex and beautiful. This part tells about their search for others who could understand their musical language. They have been traveling the galaxy for thousands of years, looking for species that communicate through rhythm and harmony, and they found us," Jake said with wonder. "Yes, but we are different from what they expected. Most musical species they have encountered think as collectives, like they do. We are the first individual minds they have met who can still create harmony together." Lisa Park entered the laboratory, carrying a tablet full of communication logs. "Captain, I have been analyzing the alien signals from the past week. They are not just making music with us anymore. They are teaching us their technology." "What do you mean?" Jake asked. "Look at this," Lisa said, showing him the tablet. "These musical patterns contain mathematical formulas. The aliens are using music to share their scientific knowledge with us." Maria Santos was working on a new device at her engineering station. "Captain, with their help, I have been able to build a hybrid communication system. It uses both human electronics and alien bioelectrical patterns. We can now create music that both species can feel, not just hear." "Show me," Jake said. Maria activated the device, and suddenly the room filled with more than just sound. The humans could feel the music as electrical impulses in their bodies, weak but noticeable. It was like experiencing the alien collective consciousness in a small way. "This is how they experience all communication," Maria explained. "Every thought, every feeling, every piece of music is shared directly between their minds. No wonder our radio signals hurt them so much." Tony was preparing for the daily musical exchange. "Captain, the aliens want to try something new today. They want to create a piece of music that tells the story of our first contact, but they want human musicians to participate directly." "What do you mean?" Jake asked. "They have modified some of their bioelectrical instruments so humans can play them. We would be part of their collective performance, but still maintaining our individual consciousness." Dr. Turner was excited by the possibility. This could be the first true collaboration between human and alien minds. We would be making music together, not just responding to each other. Jake felt the weight of the decision. "Is it safe?" "The aliens have been very careful," Maria said. "They have tested the devices extensively. The connection is temporary and completely voluntary. We can disconnect at any time." "Who would participate?" Jake asked. "I will," Tony said immediately. "I have been learning their musical language for weeks. I think I can handle the bioelectrical interface." Lisa stepped forward. "I would like to try as well. As communications officer, I have been studying their signal patterns. I think I understand how they think." Alex also volunteered. "From a scientific perspective, this could teach us more about alien consciousness than years of normal study." Jake looked at his crew and saw determination in their faces. All right, but we do this slowly and carefully. Maria, you monitor all the bioelectrical levels. If anything goes wrong, we disconnect immediately. The crew prepared for the experiment. Tony and Lisa put on special headsets that would connect them to the alien collective. The devices looked like a combination of human electronics and living tissue, pulsing with soft blue light. Are you ready? Maria asked from her monitoring station. Ready? Tony and Lisa said together. The connection was activated, and immediately, the room filled with the most beautiful music any of them had ever heard. But this was not just sound. It was pure emotion and thought, translated into musical form. Tony's eyes widened with wonder. I can feel their minds, he whispered. Thousands of individual consciousness, all connected, all working together to create this music. Lisa was smiling with tears in her eyes. They are so peaceful, so harmonious. There is no conflict in their thoughts, no hatred or fear, only curiosity and joy. The music began to tell the story of first contact. The aliens showed their perspective, the sudden chaos and pain when the humans first tried to communicate, followed by the slow healing as they organized their thoughts. Then came the moment of discovery when music brought peace and understanding. Now, show them our side, Jake said softly. Tony and Lisa began to add human melodies to the alien composition. They showed the fear and confusion of the human crew, the guilt they felt for causing pain, and the hope that came with the discovery of musical communication. The combined music was unlike anything that had ever existed. It was the sound of two completely different forms of consciousness finding common ground, learning to understand each other despite their differences. Captain, Maria said, monitoring the bioelectrical levels, something amazing is happening. The aliens are adapting their collective consciousness to include individual voices. They are learning to think like us while still maintaining their unity. The music grew more complex as more alien ships joined the performance. Each ship added its own voice to the composition, but now, instead of perfect harmony, there was room for individual expression within the collective. And look at Tony and Lisa, Alex said with amazement. They are maintaining their individual consciousness while participating in the collective. They are building bridges between two different ways of thinking. The musical performance continued for hours. The story of first contact grew into something larger, a celebration of the differences between the two species and the beauty that could come from their cooperation. As the performance reached its climax, the aliens began to share something new. Through the music, they showed the humans images of other worlds, other species they had encountered in their travels across the galaxy. They are showing us the larger universe, Lisa said, her voice filled with wonder. There are dozens of intelligent species out there, each with their own form of consciousness, their own way of understanding the universe. And they want us to meet them, Tony added. They want to introduce humanity to a galactic community, based on harmony and cooperation instead of conflict and competition. The music slowly came to an end, and Tony and Lisa disconnected from the alien collective. Both of them looked changed by the experience, their eyes bright with new understanding. How do you feel? Jake asked. Like I have been part of something? Infinite, Lisa said. The alien collective is not just a group of minds thinking together. It is a new form of consciousness altogether, one that can include any being that understands harmony. And they want to teach us, Tony added. They want to help humanity become part of something bigger than ourselves while still remaining individuals. Jake looked out at the alien fleet, now arranged in a beautiful spiral formation around the USS Harmony. What happens next? They want to build a permanent communication station, Alex said. A place where humans and aliens can work together, where we can teach each other about our different ways of thinking and being. And they want to introduce us to the other species, Maria added. There is an entire galactic community waiting to meet us, all connected by music and harmony. Jake made a decision that would change the course of human history. Then we build the station. We become part of their galactic community. But we do it as humans, individual, creative, diverse. We bring our own gifts to the harmony. The crew began making plans for humanity's first permanent alien contact facility. Outside, the alien ships continued their graceful dance through space, their bioelectrical patterns creating music that could be heard across the star system. 6 months had passed since the USS Harmony first encountered the alien fleet. Now, in the space between the third and fourth planets of the Kepler 442 system, something magnificent was taking shape. The first human-Zephyrian cultural exchange. Station hung in space like a giant musical instrument, its spiral design inspired by both human architecture and alien bioelectrical patterns. Captain Jake Morrison stood in the central observatory of the station, watching as construction crews from both species worked together to complete the final sections. Human engineers floated alongside alien bioships, their different technologies combining to create something neither species could have built alone. "Captain, the final harmonic resonators are being installed," reported Lisa Park, who had become the station's first director of interspecies communication. "Once they are active, the station will be able to broadcast music across multiple star systems." The station was unlike anything humans had ever imagined. Instead of cold metal corridors, the interior featured flowing organic curves that channeled sound and bioelectrical energy. Gardens of earth plants grew alongside alien organisms that pulsed with soft light and rhythm with music. The entire structure was designed to be both functional and beautiful, a place where two forms of consciousness could meet and create together. Dr. Alex Turner approached, carrying a small device that glowed with gentle blue light. "Jake, you need to see this. The Zephyrians have given us something incredible." "What is it?" Jake asked, taking the device. It felt warm and seemed to pulse with its own rhythm. "It is a translation matrix," Alex explained. "With this, any human can communicate directly with the Zephyrian collective through music. But more importantly, it allows us to understand other musical species in the galaxy." Tony Rodriguez entered the observatory, followed by a group of young people from both species. Over the months, Tony had become the station's music director, teaching humans to understand Zephyrian bioelectrical patterns while helping the aliens appreciate human individual creativity. "Captain, the youth exchange program is ready for the opening ceremony," Tony said with excitement. "We have 12 human children from Earth and 12 young Zephyrian drones who are learning to think as individuals." Jake looked at the mixed group of young beings. The human children, ranging in age from 8 to 16, chatted excitedly with their alien companions. The young Zephyrians looked like smaller versions of the adult aliens, but their bioelectrical patterns showed something new, individual personality traits that were separate from the collective. "Tell me about the program," Jake said. "The young Zephyrians are volunteers from the collective," Tony explained. "They chose to develop individual consciousness while remaining connected to their species. In return, the human children are learning to think in harmony with others while keeping their individual creativity." One of the human children, a girl named Emma, who was about 10 years old, ran up to Jake. "Captain Morrison, watch what we can do now." Emma and her Zephyrian partner, a young drone who had chosen the name Harmony, stood together holding hands. The Zephyrians' bioelectrical patterns synchronized with Emma's brainwaves, and together they began to create music without any instruments. The sound came from the bioelectrical interaction between them, translated into audio by the station's systems. The music was simple but beautiful, a child's song about friendship and wonder. Other children joined in, both human and Zephyrian, each adding their own voice to the melody. Soon the entire observatory was filled with the sound of young minds learning to create together. "This is the future," Jake said with emotion. "This is what we are building here." Maria Santos appeared on the observatory's main screen, broadcasting from the engineering section. "Captain, all systems are ready for the opening ceremony. We are about to make history." Today was the day the Cultural Exchange Station would officially open and broadcast its first message to the galaxy. The message would be sent to dozens of star systems where the Zephyrians had detected other musical species. It would announce that Earth had joined the galactic community and was ready to share in the universal language of harmony. "Lisa, are the communication arrays ready?" Jake asked. "Yes, Captain. We have prepared a special composition that tells the story of human-Zephyrian cooperation. It includes musical elements from both species and should be understandable to any civilization that communicates through rhythm and melody." The crew gathered in the main performance hall, a massive spherical chamber at the heart of the station. The walls were covered with both human musical instruments and Zephyrian bioelectrical interfaces. Floating platforms allowed performers to move in 3 dimensions, creating music that filled the entire space. Jake took his position at the center of the chamber, surrounded by his crew and hundreds of beings from both species. Around the station, the Zephyrian fleet had arranged itself in a formation that spanned thousands of miles, ready to amplify the message across the galaxy. "Are we ready to begin?" Jake asked. "Ready, Captain," came the response from dozens of voices, both human and alien. The performance began with a single human voice, Lisa singing a simple melody about hope and friendship. Her voice was picked up by the Zephyrian collective, amplified and transformed into bioelectrical patterns that could be felt as well as heard. Tony joined in with a guitar, adding harmony to Lisa's melody. Then the Zephyrian bio-instruments began to respond, creating sounds that no human ears had ever heard before the 2 species met. The music grew as more performers joined in, layer after layer of melody and rhythm building into something magnificent. The children performed next, their mixed voices showing how the 2 species could learn from each other while maintaining their unique qualities. Emma and Harmony sang together, their bioelectrical connection creating music that bridged the gap between individual and collective consciousness. Dr. Turner added the sounds of Earth itself, recordings of wind through trees, ocean waves, and bird songs mixed with Zephyrian bioelectrical patterns that represented their homeworlds. The music became a conversation between planets, between different forms of life reaching across the vastness of space to touch each other. As the performance reached its climax, something unexpected happened. The station's long-range sensors began detecting responses from across the galaxy. Other musical species were answering the call, sending their own compositions back to the cultural exchange station. "Captain," Lisa said with excitement, "we are receiving musical transmissions from 17 different star systems. The galaxy is singing back to us." The main screen showed a map of the local galactic region with colored lines representing musical communications flowing between star systems. Earth was no longer an isolated world. It had become part of a vast network of consciousness. Connected by the universal language of music, the music continued for hours with new voices joining. From across the galaxy, each species added their own unique sound to the growing composition. There were crystalline beings whose thoughts created bell-like tones, gas cloud entities whose consciousness produced deep, rumbling harmonies, and silicon-based life forms, whose bioelectrical patterns created rhythms unlike anything organic minds could imagine. "This is incredible," Alex said, studying the incoming transmissions. "We are not just communicating with the Zephyrians anymore. We are part of a galactic chorus that includes dozens of different forms of consciousness." As the opening ceremony concluded, Jake realized that humanity had found its place in the universe. They were not conquerors or explorers, but music makers and bridge builders. Their gift to the galaxy was their ability to create individual beauty within collective harmony. "Captain," Tony said as the last notes faded away, "what do we do now?" Jake looked around the performance hall, seeing humans and Zephyrians working together, children from both species playing and learning from each other, and screens showing the vast network of musical species that now welcomed Earth as a member. "Now we keep making music," Jake said with a smile. "We learn from our new friends, we teach them about human creativity, and we build a future where all consciousness can sing together in harmony." Outside the station, the Zephyrian fleet maintained its graceful formation while new ships from other species began to arrive. The cultural exchange station would become a gathering place for musical minds from across the galaxy, a place where different forms of consciousness could meet and create something beautiful together. The human crew had succeeded beyond their wildest dreams. They had not only made contact with alien intelligence, but they had discovered that music was indeed a universal language that could unite any form of consciousness capable of understanding rhythm and harmony. In the months and years that followed, the cultural exchange station would grow into a great center of learning and creativity. Human children would grow up speaking both individual thoughts and collective harmonies. Zephyrian drones would learn the joy of personal expression, while maintaining their connection to the greater whole. And throughout the galaxy, the music would continue to spread, carrying the message that despite all their differences, conscious beings could always find common ground in the simple beauty of rhythm, melody, and harmony shared between friends among the stars.